All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much for watching the show, for listening. However you consume this, I do appreciate you very much. If you are not yet subscribed, please do that. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Even if you are, you can also go to Apple, Spotify, hit that follow button on the audio side. It really helps us continue to grow. Big shout out to both our sponsors, Sunny Reds, 1841 Aber Road, just on the way from Highmark Stadium. And of course, Imperial Pizza with 2 locations, including my favorite, deep in the heart of South Buffalo, 1035 Aber Road. Make sure you guys get out and support those places. They do such a good job of supporting us. Plus, they're 2 of the best places to hang out, eat, and drink in all of Western New York. All right, folks, midweek episode, which means as usual, I'm joined by my good buddy over from SB Nation, Matt Warren. We're going to do our weekly Buffalo Bills positional analysis and grades. We'll get to some NFL stuff and more. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? This is it's been a hot minute since I've had you on, and we're going to be talking about a loss, but here we are, man. What's up? How you doing?
Oh, everything's fine. It's overcast in Western New York where it has been so sunny. And so it's just a little bit different feel out there. You asked me last week if it felt like fall. And I think by the time this episode comes out, it's really going to feel like fall, in the 60s again, like a little overcast, little rain,
Sure.
Stuff like that. I don't want to like jump ahead, but the Bills are like the last of the preseason AFC contenders that aren't turning into pumpkins, to extend the the fall metaphor. And so it's a really interesting time to be a Bills fan coming off that loss to the Patriots, where a lot of people are just kind of like, I don't know, really frustrated, and justifiably so, as we'll talk about. But I mean, if you look around the AFC, like, they're still doing okay. Like, they're still doing okay.
Sure. You know what? I was I said this on Twitter. I'm being facetious here a little bit, but I'm still a little bit. So it's Tuesday morning. I got to do my weekly disclaimer. Matt and I record this the way our schedules align. We record on Tuesday morning. So if some news breaks about the Bills before you hear this, that is the reason why we're not discussing it. But anyway, Tuesday morning, woke up, still a little bit, I'm over it. I mean, I'm definitely over it, but still a little perturbed. But then I go on our YouTube channel and I look at the video and some of the comments from yesterday's show, and Buffalo or Bills Mafia bad boy needs to let me know that the Bills lost this game, that it doesn't matter. They lost the game because of the official, Hockley and his crew. They've lost they lose week 5 every year, and reinforcements are coming. So no worries. So I was annoyed, but now I'm not, because I know everything's okay, because Buffalo Bills Mafia bad boy let me know that everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, the refs turned the ball over 3 times. Absolutely.
Sure, the refs turned the ball over 3 times. They definitely made a couple bad reads on run option plays and things like that, and missed a lot of tackles. No, the referees, the officiating was it was an issue in the first half. I'm not going to say that people were losing their minds for no reasons, but yeah, look, the Bills beat themselves. Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, they're not going to get in front of the podium and blame the officials for the loss. And by the way, I was joking about the Bills Mafia bet. Well, he did say that, but I always appreciate people checking out the videos and leaving their comments and interacting. So just thought I would make a little bit of light of that. Let me ask you this, though, before we get into it. So as usual, like I said, Matt and I are going to go position by position. We'll talk about some numbers. We'll talk about what we saw, and then ultimately Matt is going to hand out a grade, and I'll just kind of chirp in to see if I kind of am on the same page with him as well. We'll take a quick look at Atlanta, who the Bills will be playing this coming Monday night. And if we got some time, we'll talk about the NFL a little bit as well. We have a midweek episode, and usually, like I said, we're still reviewing after, watching the game back, or just, collecting our thoughts, what we thought of that game. And then we start to take a look at the next opponent. We don't really do a preview show. So I really don't have much insight as to what your mindset was going into this game. I'll ask you this. After the game was over, how surprised were you at the result?
Okay, so over on Buffalo Rumblings in the feed, on, I guess it was Thursday, SB Nation puts out their picks every week with all of our NFL like full-timers posting like who they picked, and everybody picked the Bills. And sure. I posted on the feed, I'm like, are you a little bit surprised that everybody's picking the Bills? I think the Patriots are a dangerous team. And I picked the Bills, obviously. I thought they were going to win the game. And I mean, frankly, even the way it played out, the fact that they were in a position to go win that game in the late fourth quarter after 3 turnovers, like they had a chance to win that game. But like, I thought that the Patriots were dangerous heading into this game. If I'm Mike Vrabel and I'm taking over that Patriots team, that young Patriots team with a young quarterback, I'm spending my entire offseason prepping for week 5, not week 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Like, you want that team to buy into you as a head coach. If you want that team to fully like commit to the program, going out and knocking off the AFC favorite, the perennial winner of your own division, like that's the game I circle in freaking February when I get hired if I'm Mike Vrabel. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that the Bills got the best shot from the Patriots and that the Patriots won that game. So was I surprised with that outcome? No. I knew that the Patriots were dangerous. I thought Drake May played well enough to win, obviously, and we'll get into all of that stuff here when we get some positional stuff. But I'm not going to say it was predictable, but it was certainly, and you were certainly able to anticipate that the Patriots were going to show up and try to knock out the Bills for all the reasons I just mentioned.
I'm with you there. Now, on Friday, and I'm not going to sit here and say that, I'm not surprised at all. On Friday's preview show, I did pick the Bills to win 34-23. So I did have the Bills winning by double digits. I'll say that. I also, before the game, to your point and what you're saying, well, at least indirectly anyway, I said this on Twitter. I said, remove the fandom. If you're a Bills fan, remove the fandom and let's be objective about this. If you're the New England Patriots, what an incredible opportunity you have in front of you to go on the road. Nobody, to your point, like you said, nobody's picking you to win. And you have an opportunity to go on the road to a hostile environment, to a team that's favored by a touchdown and a half point. I think it was 7.5 or something like that. You got a chance to really make your statement that, hey, we have arrived now. You got kind of nothing to lose. Like New Orleans kind of had that mindset last week, and I feel like that's why that game might have been a little bit closer. But the New Orleans Saints just ain't a good enough football team to make those, execute a couple of those plays, especially a quarterback that the Patriots did. So they came into this game with a great opportunity, and we're going to talk, obviously, pretty much about the Bills here and, plenty of criticism, but I would be remiss if I didn't take a minute to give some credit to the Patriots as well. I thought they were well prepared, to your point. They were well coached in this football game. I ridiculed them right before the half. When they took that field goal, I'm like, you guys are pusses. That's what I said to my wife. I was yelling at the TV. I was like, come on, this is a victory, big victory for the Bills. You're a yard out. You're on the road. You're trying to, to upset the Buffalo Bills, and you're putting a field goal on the board with Josh Allen on the other sideline. I'm like, what are you doing here? You're only up 6-3. It worked. They won by a field goal. So credit to them. Drake May, look, he didn't have the cleanest game, the best game ever, but boy, oh boy, did he do some Josh Allen stuff. He really did. I mean, and I say that because we constantly hear the young Josh Allen comparisons. Well, we saw it.
Yeah.
We saw it. A couple of those plays, 2 specifically. That play when he rolled to the right and Stephon Diggs, what a perfect pass. So Diggs made a great catch between Trey White, who kind of got turned around, and Taylor Rapp coming in a little bit late, a lot of bit late. That was just a great play by May. And then the DaQuan Jones to not, even if he would have just thrown the ball away and not taken a sack, that would have been huge. But to complete the ball to Diggs and have him get 12 yards, that literally set up the game-winning field goal. If DaQuan Jones brings down Drake May, man, it's 2nd and 22. They're probably not getting a first down, and they're getting ready to punt. The Bills use a timeout, and who knows, how that plays out. The Bills will have the opportunity. So Drake May was awesome, and they played good. So credit to them. I just want to make sure that I put that out there. Let's go ahead.
And we've been saying that really. I mean, I've been saying it about Drake May since he was drafted. I just didn't think he was going to work out with the regime they had last year. But really, since they hired Mike Vrabel and got competent coaching, pairing him with Drake May, like Josh McDaniels, like is obviously a really good play caller in the NFL. Whether he's a good head coach or not is like, that's a different conversation. So like we've been saying it all offseason that the Patriots are the second best team in the division, and it's probably not even close. And now, I mean, after 5 weeks, I think we can like really like write that in ink inside of our notebooks.
It's pretty funny how things could change in 24 hours because before that game, the Bills at the moment, after Denver beat Philly, the Bills were the only undefeated team in the NFL. If the Bills go out and they handle New England, they're 5-0, they're 3-0 against the East, they're way up. That race is over. The race is over before Columbus Day for the division anyway. Now it's like, hey, New England's only a game back. They've beaten the Bills in Buffalo. They're going to get a rematch in Foxborough. You know, you gotta at least think about them. We've only been thinking about the Bills, quite frankly, until now as, well, where are they in terms of the number one seed in the conference? Now it's like, hey, the Jets of Miami are cooked. They're done. But then you got to keep your eyes now on New England. Again, a game back with and beating the Bills head-to-head so far. So, I mean, the Bills will have an opportunity to go to Foxborough and win this time. But, you know, you gotta think about it that way now. It's not just about number one seed in the AFC. I mean, it still is, but it's not only about that now. One last question, too, because we're talking Bills here. Stefon Diggs, 10 catches for $146. All right, maybe you're not surprised at the outcome of the game, but how surprised are you that it was Stefon Diggs that just absolutely decimated the Buffalo Bills secondary the entire game? And not just Trey White, too, the secondary, which we'll definitely be talking about today.
I don't think anyone can ever question that Stefon Diggs has that dog in him. You know, he's a gamer. He steps up. I mean, we've seen him like kind of disappear in some playoff games, not because of him, I think, because teams are keying on him. And in this game, it didn't surprise me at all that he was there. I mean, frankly, medically, it surprised me that he was able to be so well. Like it's been 12 months, not even, since that ACL tear. And for him to go out and put up that game against the Bills was, I mean, when he tore, let's say this, when he tore his ACL and then the schedule came out and he had signed with the Patriots, I'm like, I wonder when he's even going to be able to play. Like, is he even going to be in that first game against the Bills? And for him to go out and put up those numbers was really remarkable for him. So you got to give him a lot of credit. I thought he was great on the podium after the game too, explaining the side-eye thing when he was with the Texans to Josh Allen and, you know, talking about his love for not just, you know, Bills Mafia, but like, for Allen in particular. So, I mean, I really enjoyed kind of that whole thing around Stefon Diggs. I mean, I didn't enjoy him like, you know, going off on the Bills defense, but like hearing him after the game, I thought all of it kind of was like the perfect Stefon Diggs encapsulation, you know?
Sure. Let's get into these grades. And previous to this week, I would say the Bills have pretty much been on the honor roll just about every week, not across the board, but in a lot of positions. I don't know that they're going to get honor roll type grades here today, coming from a guy with an education background here in Matt Moran as well. Let's start with quarterback. All right, so Josh Allen, 22 of 31, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. He ran 9 times for a team high 53 yards as well. Was charged with that fumble on the Dawson Knox exchange. Technically, technically that's what it was. Anyway, I don't want to influence your thoughts and your grading, your opinion, so I'll save mine for when you're done. But those are the numbers. What you saw in the box score, obviously, he goes beyond that. What were your thoughts with Josh Allen in this game?
Well, it's obviously his worst game of the season. The interception he threw was forced, took points off the board. Like there was in the red zone. Like, I mean, they lose by 3 points and they took points off the board with that interception. He took a sack. He looked uncomfortable, mismakeable throws, mismakeable reads. I'm putting the fumble on Dawson Knox. The way the NFL scores it is the last person to have possession is the one that gets charged for the fumble. I'm putting it more on Dawson Knox, and we'll talk about that when we get to tight ends. You know, they had the ball in the fourth with a chance to take the lead and couldn't do it, which, you know, is exactly what I want if I have Josh Allen as my quarterback. And then they didn't get done. Yeah, there was a drop, but just, I don't know. It felt really disjointed the whole game. He topped 300 yards at a QB rating of 103. I just can't get to a C with him, so I gave him a B minus. I thought that he was mostly efficient, but like it was definitely a struggle in this game.
All right, I got to ask you a school question, okay?
Yeah.
When I want to grade Josh Allen, do I grade Josh Allen compared to Do I treat him the same as the other 29 kids in the class? Or do I, when I grade his essay, do I hold him to a higher standard because I know how talented he is as a writer? Or do I say, you know what? These are the things that I'm looking for when I assign a grade, and it's the same for everybody.
Well, with the grade, you would typically give him the grade compared to everybody else. And then in the comments at the end of the essay, when you're like writing your little note to the kid, like that's when you would say, hey, I would really expect more from you, given that you're, the
Sure.
best player in the entire NFL and maybe like the best player in NFL history if you just talk about talents and all that other stuff.
Okay. I'm going to give him a C.
Okay.
I'll say that. I'm going to give him a C. Statistically, box score wise, a 300-yard game, a good quarterback rating, one turnover that was not really his fault. It was charged to him to fumble. I mean, the interception was his fault. There's no question about that. It was definitely forced. And there's also another play too. But if you look beyond so here's the biggest reason why I arrived at a C instead of say a B minus, okay, or even a C plus. I thought for his standards, it was an average to below average game.
Yeah.
Easily his worst game in the season. Maybe his worst game, maybe going back to the Houston game last year. Again, beyond the box score. And there's three quick things here that I want to get to with Josh Allen that have nothing to do with the box score, that unless you see the play visually, and I would put it up on the screen right now, but I got last 2 weeks ago, I think I put up a clip and it got flagged. So I'm not going to put up a clip on this show. Anyway, there's three things. All right. Number one, the Bills, it was a 3rd and 3. This was on their first scoring drive. It was 3-0 New England. And Ty Johnson's in the game and he goes in motion. It was a read option. Josh Allen could either give it to Ty Johnson going right in motion, or he could pull it in and run it himself. Josh Allen pulls it in and runs it himself, and he gets stuffed on 3rd down. That led to a field goal. When you watch the film, mistake. He gives the ball to Ty Johnson. At a minimum, it's a first down. It was 3rd and 3 from like the 9-yard line. At a minimum, it's a first down and probably a touchdown. That was a mistake right there by Josh Allen. The play before the interception on the offensive pass interference by Khalil Shakir, which a lot of people, you can lose your mind about Hockley, about a lot of things, but I'm going to tell you right now, by rule, it was the right call. I went and I looked. Did Khalil Shakir start blocking before the catch? He did. So by definition, it was the right call, but that's not my point. It was 2nd and 3. They're at the 19-yard line. So they're in the red zone again. And this was another read option. And I could tell because the left side of the line was blocking and pulling in because James Cook started on the left, switched to the right side right before the snap with Josh, and then ran, into between the left guard and the left tackle. Josh had the option to either hand it to him or dump the quick screen off to Dalton Kincaid. He chose to throw the ball to Kincaid. Now, did he get rid of it quick? Yes, it was bam, bam. But my point was, when you watch the film again, it was there. James Cook's getting 3 yards. He was getting the first down. But he throws the ball, Khalil Shakir, that's not Josh's fault. That's on Shakir. He's got to have that mental clock to wait a second because Josh didn't pump the ball. So it's not like Shakir blocked because, Josh got rid of the ball too late. He didn't. But my point was, it was the wrong decision. Give the ball to James Cook. James Cook was moving the chains, and that would have been a first down. So that's two things. And then the third thing, it was 3rd down and 10 on their last drive. Josh Allen, despite not having pressure, left the pocket. He started floating right. If he would have stayed in the pocket, he had a great look at Curtis Samuel and I'm going to thought on him in a few minutes, by the way. Could have had a touchdown. Certainly would have had a great chance for a touchdown. He starts rolling right, though, which he did not need to. Then he doesn't commit to running, which I'm not going to say he would have got the first down. Who knows? He probably has to go through a guy, juke a guy to get to the marker. I don't know. If he doesn't get it, it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3. You got a decision to make. So I'm not saying that was the right call if he would have ran. But he also saw Shakir coming just a split second late, and Gonzalez made a great play. But my whole thing is if he stayed in the pocket and was locked in on the right guy, Curtis Samuel, that could have been a go-ahead touchdown. So Josh Allen missed, I guess mentally, he made the wrong decision on a handful of plays that you don't see in the box score. So I want to point that out. Let me ask you a quick follow-up question before we move on. We talked about Stephon Diggs. On the show Sunday night, the instant live reaction show that I do with Joe from Queens, he was talking about Josh Allen maybe trying too hard because he really wants to have his best game against Stephon Diggs. For whatever reason, there's the whole Diggs made him, he made Diggs kind of debate that we have. We don't really have it anymore, but we've had it before. And he presses too much when he's played against him. And he's done it twice now because he did it last year with Houston. And I'm like, yeah, it's stupid. Then, and I'm just, I'm completely dismissing Joe from Queens. Later on, after I wrapped up my show, I'm listening to a couple other pods. I like to hear, what's going on, what other people think. Matt Perino kind of talked about the same thing near the end of his show with Ryan Talbot. I'm like, maybe there is something to that. Do you think that maybe when he's playing against Diggs, that just the desire to really be the best player out there that forces him to press? Because like I said, there were a couple times he kept that handoff. He should have gave it to Ty Johnson. He threw a pass, a screen pass where he should have gave it to Cook. There's other instances too.
Yeah, I wouldn't have immediately thought that way just because it feels like Josh Allen has all the confidence in the world and really can back it up with his play on the field. And so it feels weird to say that a guy like that has, insecurities might be even too strong of a word. He married a freaking Avenger. The insecurity thing doesn't it just doesn't come to mind when I think of him. But we even talk about it with Belichick and Tom Brady, the two of them playing against each other, one of them has to feel like they're trying to prove something. And so if that's the case, if Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs meet at midfield before the game being like, hey, I'm going to, kick your ass today or whatever. I can at least see that. We've seen Josh press before, like you said, in the Houston game last year, the Jets game in week 1, a couple seasons ago, excuse me. We've seen him press and that's what happens. And so maybe there is something to that, but I'm still shocked. I know that he's a regular guy like me and you, but I've got insecurities because I deserve to have insecurities. That guy's he's a Greek god. I don't know. It's hard to think of.
It is. I wonder if there's something to it. And it's it's also could just be coincidence, but it's probably arguably his 2 worst regular season games over the last 12 calendar months have both been with Stephon Diggs on the opposite side, just really forcing things. But anyway, we always talk about coaching, and we will as we get to the end of this part of the exercise. But I did want to point that out because sometimes Joe Brady gets criticism that I don't think is fair. You know what I mean? And I look at a couple things. I'm like, well, you know what? Josh made the wrong read or the wrong decision too. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's move to running back before we take a break. James Cook, for the first time this season, kind of got bottled up, man. 15 carries for just 49 yards. He averaged 3.3 yards per carry. New England's run defense is pretty stout in the middle. Anyway, Ty Johnson, 2 carries for 10 yards. He also had a nice carry that got called back because of one of the gazillion holding penalties on the Bills in the first half. Ray Davis, 2 carries for 1 yard. He's starting to become a wasted rep when he's out there. Let's just call it what it is at this point. 0 catches, I believe, from the running back in the passing game as well. So nothing in the passing game whatsoever from the running backs. What are your thoughts here today?
Cook had 1 catch for 9 yards, I think. It was on a dump off as Josh was getting.
That's right. Let me look.
Josh was being pressured. So there was nothing designed to the running backs, which could have definitely helped. We talked about how James Cook was bottled up. And so doing a designed, pass to a running back is an extension of the running game. It's the extended handoff kind of West Coast kind of thing. I gave them a C. I don't think it's all them, but their numbers were pretty lackluster. And I really don't like it when my, bajillion-dollar quarterback is my leading rusher on the day. So, I just gave him a C.
Let me say this real quick. We're switching this back to the Patriots. I think if there's a formula to really stifle a Bills offense, it's stop the running game up the middle, which they really like to do, and have really talented, and that's easier said than done, have talented cornerbacks who could give the receivers problem. Carlton Davis and especially Gonzalez are talented corners in the Bills or the Patriots. Did a good job of stuffing the middle of the field. I'm with you, a C2. James Cook's numbers were very pedestrian, but I don't blame James Cook. I just a minute ago I said I'm not going to blame Joe Brady for a lot of things and, some of the mistakes that Josh made. You got to find ways to get the running backs out of space and do more things. Every handoff that I can remember that I was kind of telling, except for one with James Cook, was run between the tackles. You know what I mean? Where's the creativity in the running game to kind of get outside from the interior? So, yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything to add other than this. I'm going to go back to Ray Davis. Something is amiss with him going back to the summer. I don't know what it is. It was not long ago, Matt, last year, that Jets game, 152 yards from scrimmage. He carried the Bills offense on a week where James Cook was hurt and didn't play. He found the end zone a handful of times last year. I don't know what it is. It just seems like the juice is gone. He's a second-year player. Now, I know he's an older second-year player, but he's not old. I don't know what's going on. But here's what I do know. If it seems like they're struggling to come up with what's the right game day active lineup. In the last couple of weeks, they've done a lot of experimentation. Like this week, Landon Jackson, he went with an extra defensive end. I'm starting to wonder that either maybe Ray Davis could be an inactive, and you got Cook and you got Ty Johnson. Like, I don't need to see Ray Davis out there. I want James Cook, and if James Cook's not out there, give me Ty Johnson. Both of them right now, to me, based on what we've seen in 2025, are significantly better. And hell, man, I might even take it one further. I'd be fine if they cut Ray Davis and then bring up Gore if you need him. I don't know, man, but it's just something is really not right with Ray Davis right now this year.
Maybe they should call more runs to Dawson Knox. That's a joke. Please don't do that. Okay. So yeah, when Michael Hoyt comes back, like when Larry Ogunjobi comes back, they're going to need game day active roster spots. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Ray Davis was on that inactive list once those guys come back here in a couple of weeks. So to your point, like, I do think keeping him active is probably the right call on Monday night against the Falcons, but I do think it becomes more of a conversation later this month.
Okay, very fair. All right, let's take a quick break, come back. We'll fly through these. We're going to get to receiver next, and I think this is a really interesting one. More on that and plenty more coming up. Matt Warren, SB Nation, Buffalo Bills positional analysis and grades from week 5, first loss of the season against the New England Patriots. Wide receiver, Matt. Khalil Shakir, 6 catches for 45 yards. Josh Palmer, 2 for 36, including a 13-yarder at the end of the game, which I have no idea why he didn't just let that ball hit the ground, but it is what it is. Curtis Samuel, 2 for 26 with a touchdown. Keon Coleman, 4 for 23 with a touchdown. Tyrell Shavers, nothing in the passing game. The canvas is yours, man. What I have some pretty, we might disagree on this. We'll see though. I don't know what your thoughts are. What are they?
I mean, Keon Coleman being benched for disciplinary reasons has to factor into this grade too, I think. His fumble obviously was very bad and really hurt them. Only 130 receiving yards from the receivers, but they did catch both touchdowns. Keon had that really nice, was kind of the jump ball, like where he went and corralled it. But I mean, just kind of pedestrian numbers. I gave him a C+. I know that the numbers would be better if like Josh had found Curtis Samuel on that play, and things like that. You gave the yardage totals, like if you multiply those up by 17, like they're kind of right where we expected, except for maybe Coleman, who's a little bit low. So it's like, yeah, they're doing what they're asked to do and everybody eats stuff and all that stuff. But especially like, when Stephon Diggs is putting up super numbers on the other side of the field, do you want them to step up a little bit?
I went lower. I gave them a C-.
Okay.
I gave them a C-. Keon Coleman hurt them. First of all, he did get benched the first series, which I don't think it mattered. Did they score a field goal on that first series? They did. I believe they scored a field goal on their first possession. No, they didn't. They punted. Yeah, they punted. All right, so Keon hurt the team by not, whatever happened during the week. I don't want to speculate. I don't know. But Sean McDermott did say that was the reason why he wasn't out there the first series. It was an in-house issue. Let's just leave it at that, okay? Then he gets out there, series 2, catches the ball inside the 10-yard line, and he loses the fumble. Or that was the third series. Doesn't matter. It was the first quarter. I know that, okay? He hurt the team, and New England converted that into a field goal. The Bills' defense actually made a stand, held them to a field goal, but that directly cost the team 3 points. So a disciplinary issue, a lost fumble, which the Bills don't do, and this was a bad one too. There's no excuse for it. That hurt them. Khalil Shakir, I'm also going to point this out. that pass interference penalty,
Oh yeah.
again, if you look at the tape, Matt, and it's like, all right, well, Josh botched the snap, or, it took him an extra second to get the ball to Kincaid.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, in my mind, it's 1 second, 2-second block. You know what I mean? But it wasn't. It was bam, bam, and he still got called for the penalty. Could they have let that slide? Does it happen pretty much on all screens like that? Sure. But by rule, it was a penalty. So that hurt. He also had a drop on a short little bubble screen, which is very uncharacteristic of Khalil Shakir. I don't really want to blame him. I'll credit the Patriots for doing a better job of tackling than some other teams have done against him, but he didn't really have those leaky short catch and turns into a 25, 30-yarder because he's, the contact balance. They bottled him up pretty good. 6 catches for 45 yards. If I'm New England, I'm taking that all day long. Okay? So nothing from Josh Palmer. Dude's getting $10 million, man. I want to see more than 2 catches for 36 yards every week. Again, the last one is literally 13 yards was on the final play of the game where the game was over. He should not have caught it, but whatever. That's not why they lost the game. The one thing I will say, on tape, I'm seeing Curtis Samuel. It feels like he's ready to pop. Like, he looks pretty quick. There were some opportunities, again, including possibly that touchdown in the fourth quarter if Josh Allen sees him on that post going to the left. I feel like there's opportunity out there for Curtis Samuel. I would not be surprised if Curtis Samuel starts to have a bigger role in this offense going forward. So I like that. But like I said, the mistakes, the drop, the offensive pass interference, the Keon Coleman fumble, just a couple plays that weren't made. Plus, they don't get open enough. We could have a whole conversation about that, but we're not because we want to get to other things. So anyway, I got a C-. Go ahead.
Just one thing on Josh Palmer, and I know I said the per game stats and all that stuff. Like, he's on pace for 600 receiving yards, and he hasn't gotten into the end zone yet, which is kind of troubling. But if at the beginning of the season we said something like 700, 800 receiving yards, so he's under what we anticipated him doing. But I think Shakir and Coleman are ahead of what we were sort of expecting them to do. So I do think it's that everybody eats thing once again. And if all of them if all 3 of those guys end up over 600 receiving yards, I think we're going to be okay with the numbers at the end of the year.
Do you think if they're going to continue the everybody eats thing, if the everybody eats thing, which by the way, I'm not going to turn heel, to use a wrestling term. I'm not going to turn heel on that philosophy because for this game, it's like, well, give me a number one because Stephon Diggs, just make plays when you got to make them. But this is one game, and the Bills' offense has been great. Okay, so I'm not going to turn heel on them. But I will say this. If you're going to have an everybody eats kind of offense, do you really need to be paying wide receivers $9-10 million to come in and get 4 catches for 40 yards a game, things like that? It's a lot of money to pay somebody. This feels like $2-3 million type players that they could be having.
Are you talking about Dawson Knox or Josh Palmer?
I'm talking about Palmer. I'm talking about Samuel. I'm talking about Elijah Moore's getting $3 million. He's not even dressing.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes, to your point, in roster building, that would be the ideal thing, that they're not paying a guy $10 million to, catch 600 yards of passes. But they're just having other guys step up right now. And so we'll see what happens when defenses start to adjust again to Dalton Kincaid, who's on pace for 1,000 yards receiving. And, we're going to talk about here in a second.
We're going to talk about him right now.
Yeah. We'll see what happens when defenses start to adjust there. And then hopefully Josh Palmer gets a little bit more breathing room.
Let's talk about that right now. Dalton Kincaid, 6 catches, career high, 108 yards. Dawson Knox, 2 catches for 15 yards. He was fine there, but that fumble, you and I both put that on him. Well, you know what? I do put it on him 60%. I put 40% of that on Joe Brady for the call. That's just, we'll get to that. But anyway, primarily this is about Dalton Kincaid. This is one of the things, Matt, for me, and you were at a couple practices, you covered a couple camp practices. I really one of the things that we saw over the summer that is really translated into the regular season is Kincaid just looking smooth. Like Josh Allen's best throws every practice, it felt to me, were when he was throwing to Dalton Kincaid. It just felt like he was smooth, getting open, catching everything. And that's really translated because these weren't all dump offs either. Last year, it felt like, or even his rookie year, A lot of his catches were little 3-yard, 4-yard dumps. He's working the field all over the place this year, and he's doing a lot more with these catches. He's second in the NFL right now among tight ends and receiving yards. Only the rookie Tyler Warren from Indy's got more yards through the first 5 weeks. But anyway, let's go. Tight ends. What do you got?
Yeah, Kincaid has looked really great the whole season. And to your point in this game, like he was the safety valve for Josh Allen in a couple different situations in this game against the Patriots, where the routes break down and he finds Kincaid running across the field or whatever. But the Bills tight ends were 8 for 8, 8 targets, 8 catches, 123 yards. I said it in the moment. Why you dial up a jet sweep for Dawson Knox? Like the guy's got 5 touches all year or whatever it happens to be. And we're going to call a play specifically to get him a chance in the open field. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yep.
But I mean, I gave them a B- overall. Kincaid certainly plays into that. I think that was my highest grade of any of the offense was the tight end position, even with the fumble.
What did you grade him?
B-.
B-. I'm gonna be a little more generous. I'm gonna go B+.
Okay.
I'm gonna say B+. I think the Knox fumble, which again, I only blame half of that on him, is kind of like when you put somebody in a position to fail, it's hard to blame them for failing when you put them in position to fail. All right. Should he have held on to the ball? Of course he should have. But come on, man. What are we doing giving Dawson Knox an end around? That shit still pisses me off. Dalton Kincaid has become everything that we hope he could be so far.
And we've been talking about that since the drop, right? You need a guy to step up, and he doesn't step up in that playoff game. And boom, what does he do? He goes and talks to Tyler Dunn and takes ownership of every freaking thing this offseason and has really stepped up through the first 5 games of the season. You have to give him credit for that.
100%, I agree. And I remember going back to camp. There was one practice he missed because of his knee. I was like, the knee's got the
I was there.
The leg thing on. You were there. I was like, oh shit. Here we go again with Dalton Kincaid, but that has not been the case. I would argue that he's might be the biggest bright spot on this team through 5 games so far this season. I think he's been that good. Offensive line, Josh Allen, 3.27 seconds time to throw, which is the most he's had in quite a while. They gave up 1 sack. Running game, not great, just 4.1 yards per carry. Depends on how you want to look at that. What did you think offensive line?
I gave him a C+. Deion Dawkins is hurt. Connor McGovern's hurt. It's nice to see them gut it through. I can say from my couch, them playing through their injuries. But Josh Allen was seeing ghosts, and it wasn't necessarily because of a lot of Patriots pressure. Like you said on that kind of game sealing play where Curtis Samuel is coming up over the top. The Patriots weren't getting pressure there, but Josh Allen was still feeling the pressure. So, I mean, there is something to be said for stuff that happened earlier in the game leading to that. I still think they're playing better than the rest of the offensive lines in the NFL. It just wasn't a great game. And especially when you look at the running lanes and what James Cook was able to do in this game, I do think that a C+ is warranted here.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit higher. This is weird. Usually Matt's the one who's a little more generous with the grades than me. I'm going to go a B-. I'll go a B-. I thought Milton Williams and Landry are 2 type of players that can really wreck games if you're not careful. And I know Milton Williams had that 1 sack, but he wasn't oh my God, this guy is just absolutely killing the Bills. The Bills killed the Bills on offense. 3 turnovers in place left on the field. Bad decision-making a few times. Some bad play calls. I really, truly think the Bills were their own worst enemy on offense anyway. I think defensively, they just physically struggled. But offensively, I think they were their own worst enemy. I'll go B-. Let's switch to the other side of the ball here. Defensive tackle. So Deion Walker, a half a sack. Daquan Jones nearly had a sack when they really ended up needing it. Zion Logue, Fidarian Mathis, practice squad guys were brought up, and I will, not to influence your opinion, but I'll say 1 sentence here. They played like they were practice squad guys. All right, let's just put it that way. I felt the Bills basically got nothing from the defensive tackle position, although New England didn't really have a lot of success running the football. So I don't know, man. What do you say?
I mean, I feel pretty plugged into the Buffalo Bills, but when I saw Fidarian Mathis's name on Saturday with the practice squad clubs, I'm like, who? Obviously he wasn't here in training camp, right? I think he was a late addition, but whatever. I gave him a B. I was really like, and I haven't gone back and watched the All-22. I think you have. Daquan Jones did a lot for me this weekend. Like, he stepped up in a big way when they had injuries. Like, he played 3 tech as opposed to the 1 tech. He he was right there with that Drake May pass. Like, we can't say that Drake May made a great play without Daquan Jones being right there in his grill. He played a ton of snaps. So, like, got to give Daquan some flowers here with Ed Oliver and TJ Sanders out. I think Deion Walker continues to impress me. I really like what he's been bringing to the table. And, like, they potentially have that Daquan Jones replacement in-house already, which would be really, really great going into this offseason. But beyond those two, it's pretty much what you should expect from Zion Logue and Federi Mathis, to your point. Like, they played like they weren't on an NFL roster, and, like, not for good reason. Like, I don't want to, like, completely, like, throw dirt on them and trash them or anything like that. But, they played like they didn't make an NFL roster in August.
I say C. Yes, those two guys,
yeah.
I'm not going to talk about them because there's just nothing to talk about with them. They just didn't do anything. Daquan Jones has played better than the stats indicate the last couple of weeks now, I feel like. It would be unfair, and I was hard on him early in the season, and he's playing good, okay? And he's old, man, and he's playing a lot of snaps too, man. He's playing a lot more snaps than I think he expected to and the Bills expected to, obviously the injuries. I'm going to say this about Deion Walker after watching the film. I am very, very high. And he had a half sack this game too, by the way.
Yes, he did.
He's a flash guy right now. I'm very high on him. He's a flash player. He's not consistent. That's the problem. It's not a problem. He's 5 games into his rookie year. He's a big old 4th round draft pick. It takes time. It's unrealistic to expect the guy to come on and be a stud all the time, every snap, every series, every week. So I want to be really careful. I'm very high on Deion Walker. We might look back 2 to 3 years from now and say he's the best rookie in this entire draft class. And I think that's very realistic to come to that potential conclusion. But right now, a little inconsistent. Let's just put it that way. Because a lot of the things we thought might be an issue with him at times are. But he flashes and he makes plays. And that's what you want. So anyway, a C. Not bad. Edge, Groot, had a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, 6 tackles, 6 run stops, 3 quarterback pressures. Greg Rizzo saw the Pat Moran talking Buffalo headlines all week long, and he responded. I want absolute full credit from everyone who's watching this show or listening to this show right now. I am the reason why Greg Rizzo got off his ass and played really, really good, 100%. AJ Epinesa had 4 pressures. I thought he played well. Joey Bosa, Javon Solomon, that's just being a dead horse at this point. Landon Jackson played technically.
Did he?
Yeah, technically he did. He played like 20% of the snaps, I guess. I don't know, man. Maybe he played some special teams. I didn't pay attention, but didn't see him out there. But anyway, crew carried this unit. What do you got?
Yeah, Landon Jackson definitely played those snaps, but, like, I didn't see him. Excuse me, I didn't see him at all. So, I mean, who knows? Yep. Obviously a reason he's been inactive. Yeah, I thought Groot really played well. He had those flash plays. He had that really great series where I think he impacted, like, all 3 plays on the series, and the Patriots ended up not getting the first down. One of the things we talk about with the defensive ends is, like, losing contain and losing the edge. And it wasn't as, like, egregious in this game where they were, like, letting all those run plays. Like, Bijan Robinson next week is going to, like, absolutely eat Joey Bosa's lunch on some of those, like, plays to the edge. But Drake May being able to extend those plays and escape the pocket and get outside the pocket and do the Josh Allen thing that we've come to know so well has to be at least partially on those defensive ends. So I ended up giving them a C+, just because of all of those extended plays by Drake May, even though I think Groot and Epinesa had, pretty good statistical games, and really they played well, but, like, the fact that May was able to extend so many plays, I think, comes directly back to the defensive end position. And so that might be why I'm a little bit more down on them than some other people.
I would give Groot an A. I'd give Epinesa a B-, and I would give the other 3 a D- to an F. So if you combine it, I guess I'm at a C when it comes to them. Encouraging, for Greg Rizzo. That's encouraging. You need that. You cannot have the Greg result that you saw the first 4 weeks and expect to have success against good teams late in the season. You need to have an impactful Greg result, and we saw some of that in this game. Linebacker, Matt Milano, really good for half. He's hurt again. Pec injury. We don't need to wait till Wednesday for a practice update. We know he's week to week. That's frustrating. Who knows when and if he's going to be back? Do they try to get him for a game or two here and there, and then he misses a couple games? At what point do you got to move away from that? I don't know.
They got the bye coming up, so like it makes a lot of sense to sit Milano down for this week, give him like a good chance to rest that thing up, because the only thing that's going to heal that is time.
Yeah, but I mean, he missed 2 games, 3 weeks, and he lasted a half.
He's making his pay, man.
Yeah, well, Shaq Thompson, I thought he played well for the most part. Again, he had a big stop on 4th down. He hunted down Drake May. He was a spy on a play and forced a punt with 7 minutes left in the game. The Bills could only get 3 out of it, though, and not 7. So that was big. Conversely, on that Drake May miraculous Daquan Jones escape, people don't think about this much, but he dumped the ball off to Diggs. Shaq Thompson was there in zone, which why were the Bills in zone on that? Anyway, with Diggs, but he had an opportunity to bring Diggs down. It would have only been a 2-yard gain. Instead, he doesn't bring him down, and Diggs goes for 12. Again, that really changed that last drive there. Bernard, 1 tackle for a loss. I will point this out before I turn this over to you, not to kind of swing your vote or your grade. The Bills really, the linebackers were bad in pass coverage. I got to point that out. Like they look lost and bunched together a handful of times. It was not pretty in pass coverage. But anyway, what do you got?
I actually had them with a B-. I thought, Shaq Thompson getting into a bigger role unexpectedly. Sure. I thought he played pretty well. I mean, we never expected him to be great in pass coverage, so like anything that he can give you there. I mean, obviously I want him to make tackles. Like that's what he's here for. Bernard had, the fumble recovery. You didn't mention the special teams prowess of Joe Andreessen and Jimmy Charlo, but it was cool to see those 2 guys out there on special teams. Anyway, like I said, I gave him a B-. The Milano injury really sucks. I think it's going to keep going throughout the rest of the season. So sitting him down this week, again, makes sense. So he can have a couple weeks to heal up. But like, they're really like going to be in scramble mode here if Dorian Williams like is still, kind of dealing with his own, stuff for a long time. And so like, are we going to like Tyler Matakevich is available. Nicholas Morrow's available. Like, are we, I mean, AJ Klein's retired. We don't have to worry about him coming out of the camp. Like where are we going with the linebacker position, say a month from now, if Milano's still dealing with his pec injury? Like, yes, they have Shaq Thompson, and like, aren't you grateful that they were able to sign him this offseason to add veteran depth? But like, they are struggling at this position, and they're 1 injury away from being in real trouble.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson's been hurt already this year, too. You know what I mean? He's coming off 2 major injuries over the last couple of years. Yeah, Bernard has been hurt, and I feel like they think they're fine. Well, not fine, but Joe Andreessen, that's their set in stone guy right now behind. Well, that's in their mind it is. But if Milano's out and Shaq Thompson goes down, what the hell are we do? What are you doing? Conte Jenkins on the practice squad has been hurt. Jimmy Charlo's out playing defensive reps. This is a sneaky trade position candidate for the Bills to add somebody at this position. Whether it's a trade or maybe somebody who gets waived, I would expect the Bills to add to this position with Matt Milano missing time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, and I'm glad you said it about Shaq. Listen, if Shaq Thompson can stay healthy, I'm good with him. Dorian Williams is in the mix too, but he's week to week and he's got a knee issue. And he's been wearing a big clunky elbow brace before. He's another guy who's just the health issues are a concern. Plus, he was awful in the Saints game, and I'm still not quite over that. So linebacker, keep your eyes out for that. Corner, you want to talk about keeping your eyes out for a possible ad here. Christian Benford is fine, but he wasn't great in this game. He got beat some. I'm going to throw a tiny bit of shade his way. Trey White, look, man, this has been coming. This has felt imminent to me since week 1. I feel like, he didn't play week 1, but week 2 and beyond, like, why are teams not testing Trey White more? Well, because they've been running on the Bills and haven't had to. Well, we saw it this week. We saw the results. It's not good. I just don't think he's a starting caliber corner at this point of his career. I just don't. Teron Johnson has been very pedestrian by his standards
Yeah.
as well this year. He's not tackled great. He hasn't really made, Teron Johnson is one of those guys who makes those impactful plays. He's kind of like Bernard with the linebackers. It's like, you get frustrated, he gets beaten, and don't make this play. But then he makes a big play. Haven't really seen that. So, I don't know, man. Dorian Strong might be done for the season for all we know. Max Harrison probably ain't going to be back for quite a while, if at all. So, man, I'm concerned about this position, but we're not talking about long-term as much as we are right now about this game. This was oogly for the Buffalo Bills corners, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yeah, I gave him a C minus, and that's just because I don't really blame them all for the Stephon Diggs game. Like, if I really wanted to find, a worse game from them, I probably could. But like with the Drake May extending plays thing, I just kind of, I don't know, I softened up a little bit. Maybe I'm too soft. I don't know, but I gave him the C. Dorian Strong to IR, I think, is a big thing. It would be nice if Max Harrison gets activated before this bye week so that he has 2 full weeks of practice before maybe he's asked to come into a game later. But I'm really wondering if we don't see a Dane Jackson call up at some point in the near future too, just based on what Trey White has looked like.
Listen, Trey White was headed towards a platoon role before the injury to Dorian Strong. We saw it against the Saints, and Sean could talk all he wants about just going to get the young guy more reps. Well, was getting more reps because he was going to take that position over. That's where it was trending as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And this puts the kibosh on that. I would not be surprised. I would be surprised if the Bills don't trade for a corner or sign Stephon Gilmore or somebody soon. I think that there's one thing. Look, everyone goes in panic mode after a loss. I've been fighting with fans already who think the Bills are going to go trading for a big-time wide receiver. It's not happening. It's not happening. No. I do think that if the Bills make a move, it's going to be corner. I think the Bills should make a move at safety, but I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to make a move at corner. And speaking of safety, Taylor Rapp, Cole Bishop, I don't really have anything to add. I'm going to throw this to you. I want to see what you say first.
I gave them a C+. Cole Bishop had the sack. Again, when Drake May has so much time to throw the ball because he's extending the play, it's like, how long do I expect the safeties to be able to stay in coverage on Stephon Diggs or anybody else? So I gave, like I said, a C+, somewhere in there. They're pretty much they're taking their lumps, right? And our only hope is that at some point this season that the light clicks on for Cole Bishop more so, that Taylor Rapp plays to his ability, and then by the time the postseason comes around, that safety position is really settled. But we've been spoiled with, our Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde safety play. They're not playing up to that level, and we shouldn't expect them to. But I think they're both serviceable to better than serviceable safeties, and so I'm okay giving them a C+ right now.
I disagree with you about them both being serviceable to better than serviceable safeties. I'm going to go a full grade, lower D+.
Oof.
I'll get that right. Lower grade.
Yes.
Letter grade?
Letter grade lower.
Letter grade lower. I'll get it right. D+ is what I'm giving them. Cole Bishop, serviceable. He had a sack. Missed out on a couple plays. Missed a tackle in this game. But look, man. What's the bar for him right now? He was okay. I can live with him. Last week, I told you after my film review that Dorian Williams was the worst player on the field. This week, I'm telling you that Taylor Rapp was the worst player on the field. I'm telling you, I think he was that bad. He was that bad. I get it. The defense they play, they're not getting beat over the top. Which, by the way, he's playing deep safety and Bishop is up more. They're both the same player. I still go back to Anthony Prohaska, a guy from Cover One, who I have a lot of respect for in terms of analytical stuff and just X's and O's. And he said, listen, I like Taylor Rapp. I like Cole Bishop. I don't like Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop. He said that in the spring, and that has stuck with me, and I believe it. They're the same type of player. Taylor Rapp's not a free safety. He's just running backwards. That play to Stephon Diggs where Trey got turned out, I'm telling you, I watched it because you have to watch the film. There's no one on the other side. Cole Bishop's deep on the other side. He's running back just to run back. And he's inside his own 5-yard line, and Diggs is already at the 20. What are you waiting for? And by the time he breaks on the ball, it's too late. His awareness is not good. His anticipation is not good enough. He's a physical player, but he's a crappy tackler too. So, these are all issues right now with the Bills. If this is me, The number one thing I would be thinking right now, and I want to preface this by saying it's not going to happen. I don't have any faith, not even 1% chance that I think Sean McDermott does this. But if it's me, Cole Bishop staying up in the box like he is, and Jordan Hancock, I'm giving him a real look at being my free safety. He is that rangy, athletic type of Micah Hyde, but even a better athlete. Micah Hyde's a better player, of course, but he's that. Taylor Rapp is like Jordan Poyer playing deep free safety. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. I got to stop because I will go on an insensitive rant. I think the Bills corner, the solution's not in-house anymore. It was, but Dorian Strong's hurt. Max Harrison is, I think, too far removed. I don't think there's a solution at corner on this roster. I think there are solutions on this roster at safety, and I think it's Jordan Hancock, and I'd be giving him a look, but I don't think they're going to. All right, special teams. I thought the special teams were pretty good. They allowed the Patriots just 22.4 yards on kick returns. I thought the coverage was really good. They caused a fumble. Cam Lewis had a great hit on Gibson, who unfortunately tore his ACL on that play. But he caused a fumble. Prater hit both his field goals, including a 45-yarder. Punt, Mitch Wisnowski, the new guy, just 35 yards a punt. He did have one inside the 20, though, but special teams.
He has the best nickname, though, Boomin' Onion, because he's from Australia. Like, that's cool. Like, right?
It
like,
is. Yeah, sure.
Does that not matter at all? No, I gave him a B-. I did think that his punt from the 42 going out at the 15 sucks. A 27-yard punt when you're trying to pin them deep. And then I think it was Shaq Thompson had a penalty on it too. So like you're punting from your own 42, the Patriots get it at the 20. So after the penalty, it's net 22 yards. That really sucks. And so that brought them down a letter grade for me. But I did, like you said, coverage units were good. Matt Prater continues to be consistent. There's a lot of teams that are going to want to sign him once Tyler Bass comes back.
I agree with you there. So we're on the same page. We're too far into the show because I still got 10 minutes of a Taylor Rapp diatribe in me. If I wanted to just go backwards and continue going, the dude is just too slow to be playing free safety. I'm with you, though, 100% on special teams. And look, special teams better be good. They got Jimmy Charlo, they got Franklin, they got Solomon at this point. They got multiple guys who are on this team literally for nothing else other than special teams. And that's it. So I expect this unit to be good. They were fine. Coaching. I just straight up thought, and so did Sean McDermott, that Joe Brady was too cute with some of those calls. I think there's some credibility to that. Bobby Babich, my issue with him is at some point, you got to say, you're a basketball guy to some extent anyway. Hey, this guy's killing me. I'm going to double team him every possession. I am not going to let so-and-so beat me. I'm going to double team him all the time. It should have got to that point with Stephon Diggs. If you could if Booty or any of those other receivers, Matt Collins, if they get over the top, tip your cap to them. I'm taking my safety. I'm bringing them on. I am double, or a linebacker, I am double teaming Stephon Diggs 100% of passing plays. They didn't. They let him run wild, and Sean McDermott, this team wasn't ready to play. That first half, come on, what are we doing here? I'm not telling you something you don't know. So I'm pretty low on the coaching. Maybe you're more on if it's the players. I don't know what you're thinking, but what's your thought?
No, I gave him a D. This was their worst game of the year. Sean McDermott and Bobby Babich got handled by Drake May in his third start against this team. Come on, what the hell are we doing here? Either you bracket Stephon Diggs to your point, or you send more folks at Drake May. You have to make him uncomfortable. Drake May just Josh Allen'd you, because you couldn't handle Drake May. And so, I don't have it in front of me, but he was 12 of his last 13, for 100-something yards. He was great down the stretch, and the Bills weren't able to do anything to slow him down. And I do think that is largely on coaching. So whether or not you're going to focus on May or Diggs, they needed to do something different in that second half, and they weren't able to. On offense, Ken Dorsey, Joe Brady had a rough one this week. It felt like one of those last couple Ken Dorsey games. Say they score a touchdown at the end of the game and win. They're still we're talking about like 27 points. Like we're talking about how like they're still averaging 30 points a game and all this other stuff. Well, Ken Dorsey was doing that stuff too. And they fired him because it looked like it was hard. It looked like it was like they were struggling to get to 27, 30 points per game. And that's what this looked like in this game. So something like he needs to sit down Josh Allen to be like, hey, you can't be like calling your own number every time or whatever it was. The Patriots were definitely keying on the Josh Allen run game in those read option plays. And so like at some point you have to be like, hey, Josh, hand off the ball or whatever. I do want to mention the Keon sit down as well. Like I'm totally fine with that. I think that that's appropriate, especially with a younger player to set the tone. Completely not knowing what it was that caused him to miss the first series. So all that stuff comes together into a D. It just looked hard every single play on both sides of the ball.
I'm with you. A D. The only thing I want to add is that in 2 weeks, because next week we will be doing this with the Atlanta game. The week after that is a bye. When we get to the bye week, and I don't think my mindset is going to change in a week, I would like to spend with you a significant amount of time talking about Joe Brady. And I go back to last year's AFC Championship game, and I'll never forget Greg Rizzo standing in front of the podium, blatantly admitting that the Chiefs had wrinkles in their game plan and ran things that the Bills were not prepared for on defense. Conversely, and this is to your grind point, the Bills, I know they ran a freaking flea flicker in this game. That's not what I'm talking about, though, okay? The Bills just don't do anything wrinkle-wise to make, I feel like they're easy to prepare against. They're hard to stop because they got the best player arguably in the NFL, all right? And they got a great offensive line and they got a great running back. So it's still hard to stop them. And they got some good players. Kincaid's a good pass catcher too now, okay? It's just, it's not hard to defend them. They're predictable. They're not, they're very predictable, okay? I'm just going to leave it at that for today. I'm concerned about that. And like I said, we'll table this for now. But that's my thing about Joe Brady that is really starting to concern me. It's like, stop us if you can. It's kind of the mindset. I believe that's the mindset for the most part with Joe Brady, is stop us if you can. We'll talk about that, though, at a future day, because I want to finish the show by spending a few minutes. We'll talk about Atlanta. The Bills next Monday night. 24-year anniversary for your boy, by the way, next Monday night.
Oh, nice.
I mean, yeah, 24 years. I don't know.
Surprised anyone could put up with you for that long.
Gonna try to grab an early ass dinner though, because the game's at 7:15. I didn't know that until a couple of days ago. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks.
Early game.
Well, maybe it might save me some money because now maybe we'll just get some like takeout or something. Come home and watch the game. But anyway, all right, the Atlanta Falcons 2-2. They're gonna be well rested because they just have their bye week. So yeah, they're 2-2. They lost to Carolina 30-0. I mean, that's red flaggish with them. They did beat the Vikings and the Commanders, although I believe they beat Washington without Jaden Daniels, if I'm correct. In that game. Weapon-wise, that's concerning. Two guys specifically, Bijan Robinson, he might be the best all-around back in the NFL right now. 314 yards rushing. So he's averaging like just under 5 yards a carry. He's also got 18 catches for 270 yards. And I am terrified. We just talked about 15 minutes ago. I thought the Bills linebackers were awful in pass coverage against the Patriots. I've already made my feelings pretty well known about the safeties, and that Teron Johnson has been just pedestrian. I am very concerned about Bijan Robinson against the Bills. And Drake London, dude. If you think Stephon Diggs is good, and he is, Drake London's even better. 24 catches this year, 269 yards in 4 games. Kyle Pitts is still a weapon at tight end. Again, these linebackers, these safeties are going to have their hands full. Michael Penix, pretty good so far. 918 yards, only 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. I keep going on and on. There's weapons galore. What are your first thoughts about the Atlanta Falcons right now?
I mean, if I'm the Falcons, I'm attacking the edge against Joey Bosa and AJ Epinesa like I'm doing those like the jet sweeps, the end arounds, anything I can do to attack the edge with Bijan Robinson and maybe even Kyle Pitts in the run game to get those defensive ends biting inside and going right around them. I think that that's a really big issue for Buffalo. We saw it against the Saints. We've seen it in multiple games this season. That's where I'm attacking, and they have the perfect running back to do it. So I'm very scared about that. I'm also scared, like you said, about Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson in the passing game, that short passing game against the Bills linebackers. Get Penix those easy wins, because like that dude has been not great during long stretches of this season. To the point where like he might get benched for Kirk Cousins if like stuff doesn't like really start to change soon. I think that would be stupid, but that's a different conversation. So like, I mean, yeah, putting up 0 points against the Carolina Panthers is like a huge red flag. That game, I think it was Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings. To like, Bills need to put some pressure on Michael Penix Jr. in this game by making him the focal point. And that, in order to do that, they have to take out Bijan Robinson. And I don't know if the Bills are going to be able to do that.
It's going to be a challenge. This is a game I had circled early, like before the season. I'm like, I expected the Bills to beat the Patriots. I'm like, first loss territory felt like this game to me. And that's not, listen, the Bills, I think, are 3.5-point favorites. I expect the Bills to win. I'll throw that out there as we record this on a Tuesday for a Wednesday show. I'm going to give you a name, though. I'm telling you now. I said it yesterday. I said it Monday. I'm going to say it all week long. I am not that dude, typically speaking, who gets too high or too low on a draft pick too early. I think a month, let alone one season, is unfair to judge the prospects of a football player, okay? I don't think Landon Jackson's going to be a scrub because he's barely going to play at all this year. TJ Sanders has been not good this year, but he's a rookie. He's a rookie, okay? Max Harrison's a rookie. I am typically not the guy who says, well, you should have drafted this guy, I said it, though, in April. I'm going to say it now, tomorrow, and the next day. The Bills and Brandon B made a mistake. They made a mistake not taking Xavier Watts in the second round, and especially in the third round. Xavier Watts right now today is a 4-week rookie, is significantly better than any safety the Bills have on this roster. I'm telling you, watch out for that guy. He's going to make a play. I'm just going to point that out with Atlanta because he's good. They did draft 2 guys in the first round, I believe, Walker and Pierce, 2 rookie edge rushers. So we'll see how that goes. Jesse Bates is a good safety. Yeah, look, I consider Atlanta a test. They're a worthy test. If you want to know how your team's looking, and they're going to be, the Bills will be going into a bye, but Atlanta's not world beaters, but they're not bums either. I'll throw the Carolina game out the window a little bit. They're better than that. It was just maybe a bad game. Don't love their quarterback, but yeah.
They got Leonard Floyd too, so like, I mean, they've got a good pass rush. I do think that getting away from Orchard Park is probably a good thing this week.
Sure.
To kind of clear those cobwebs out. And we've said this a couple times already this season now, that like, when they go on the road, that they seem more focused, that they seem more, business trip kind of mentality. Yeah. And so I do think that's a good thing. I'm not worried about like, them looking ahead to the bye. They typically haven't like, laid eggs or something like that, like just because they're going to the bye, I'll say.
Sure. And look, the Bills just had their 3rd straight home game. Sometimes you're right. Maybe it's better get out there. Maybe get a little bit comfortable, a little too comfortable being at home for 3 straight weeks. So that could do them some good. Like I said, plenty more Atlanta talk coming on throughout the week here on the show. They don't play till Monday night, so we'll have a preview show next Monday. Anyway, Baltimore Ravens, dude, 4th loss. They got pummeled at home by the Houston Texans. Now, of course, half the team was out. Like every Pro Bowler on their roster literally was out. So they lost that game. You could say surely because of injuries. That said, hey, talent rises to the top, but injuries will derail a season. And Baltimore is 1-4, dude. It's early, but they're running out of the margin for error is going down real quick. If you're a Baltimore Raven, and some of those key guys might still miss more time.
Yeah, we don't know when Lamar's going to be back right now. Yeah.
Are they in legitimate trouble right now? Or like, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, 5 weeks in or not, are you significantly worried right now if you're a Ravens fan?
I mean, probably. I mean, the sky is falling type stuff, like, especially if you're one of those Ravens fans that doesn't like John Harbaugh, like in general anyway. But yeah, I mean, they've gone out and like had some really bad games, but they've also played some really good teams. Like coming into the season, the Bills, Lions, Chiefs, and Texans, their 4 losses have come against teams that all made the playoffs last year and that are really good. But of course, they got the Rams this week, which is another really talented team. Like their schedule is not doing them any favors because of that. And so like, after the bye, like say Lamar Jackson misses this week, they go 1-5, but then they come back and they've got the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals without Joe Burrow probably still. So like they can rattle off a whole bunch of wins and make the playoffs pretty easily, I think, as long as Lamar Jackson is healthy. And so that's going to be key. I know they have a bunch of other injuries as well that they're going to have to contend with, but they are by no means like we're definitely not going to bury them right now.
No, I'm not going to bury them right now, but I will say this. That game against the Rams this week, which is in Baltimore, that is huge. I don't know if Lamar's going to play or not. I don't think early in the week he's expected to, but I wouldn't rule him out. I think that's what's going on with him right now. But listen, if you lose that game, you're 1-5.
Yeah.
That's
they still got 2 games against the Steelers to come. Like they can do this and win their division still. They can definitely make the wild card. So like they do end up with like at the Packers and at the Steelers are their last 2 games.
Yeah.
So they might have to earn it, but like I definitely think that they can go on a run here and make the playoffs.
They could. But again, the injuries to me are a factor. Plus, you have a game or two, like the Bills just did, where you just don't play well. It happens. It happens to 32 teams around the league. And the Baltimore Ravens, even healthy, aren't exempt from that. They lost last year at home to the Browns and the Raiders at home last year. So you get 1 or 2 stinker games, you split against the Steelers, you lose at Green Bay, and if you lose this game against the Rams, you might get to 8 losses. I don't think 9-8 probably ain't getting you into playoffs, man. So anyway, high alert in Baltimore. Kansas City, that Monday night game, what a wild freaking game that turned out to be, man. It was funny because earlier in the game, Mahomes was going off. And I said, it's kind of funny. We're all being stupid. We're all clowns, I said, pretty much for, it's all Josh versus Lamar. Like Mahomes just fell off a cliff or something. Then he throws that pick 6. I said, never mind, he's dookie. He's not good. But anyway, the Chiefs lose. They're 2-3. I don't know, man. I will say this, though. I'm a lot, if I'm objective and I'm not a Bills fan, I'm a lot less worried about the Chiefs than I am the Ravens. I still think the Chiefs are good. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback. They got a Hall of Fame coach. They got a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. Rashee Rice will be back soon. They're not Hall of Fame defensive tackle and Chris Jones. I still think, like, I'm not writing off the Chiefs by any means, but 2-3 is 2-3, and they're in a tough division.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we saw the Broncos take out the Eagles this week, and then the Chargers already beat the Chiefs, and so like it's definitely not going to be a cakewalk for them to make the playoffs. I'm probably more worried about Kansas City making the playoffs than I am Baltimore. Meaning, like I think that the Ravens are going to be able to right this ship, and the AFC North is kind of blah. Like I don't think the Steelers are that great. They're like 25th in yards per play on both offense and defense. Like they're going to fall apart at some point. So I think that the AFC North is still in play, even at 9-8 or 10-7. The AFC West is going to be really tough, and the Chiefs have a very tough schedule coming up. They're playing the Lions this week. Then they've got the Raiders, who always play them tough. They still have to go to Buffalo and play at the Bills. Like they still have to play at Denver. They have to play the Colts, who are the first place team in the AFC. Like the Chiefs have a very hard path to the postseason this year. There's a reason that teams don't play in 4 straight Super Bowls. And like you're seeing it right now with Kansas City.
Agreed. 100%. I get these early week 5 vibes that I smell Kansas City coming to Buffalo in a divisional round kind of setting. I do.
But they got to make the playoffs first. Like they're going to be 2-4 if they lose to Detroit, man. Like they're going to have 4 losses, before Columbus Day.
No, I know. I hope they do, because that's the team. Last year, you and I every week we're like, I don't want to play the Bengals. I don't want to play the Bengals. I don't want to play the Bengals. I don't want to play the Chiefs. Just for their pedigree, if no other reason. But you're right. You got to get to the playoffs. 2 teams that are looking like they want to get to the playoffs. Jacksonville and Indy, dude. They're both 4-1. Yep. And I'll tell you what, the Colts loss was to the Rams, and I thought they played really good in that game. They should have won that game. And the Jaguars are 4-1. You got to give them some credit. They just knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night. I'm not going to say these teams are absolute legit Super Bowl contenders right now as we record this podcast, but you got to give them some flowers, man. 4-1. We got an AFC South battle going on right now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Colts they beat the Dolphins, they beat the Titans, and they beat the Raiders. Like, I'm not like, you got to play the games that are on your schedule. You got to beat the teams that are there. But that win over the Broncos seems really impressive based on what
Sure.
Denver's been able to do in those other games. They lost to the Rams. Like, I don't think they have a particularly tough schedule. It looks like the Colts are going to be there at the end. At some point, you're going to get the film on Daniel Jones, and you're going to be able to make the adjustments. I have a feeling that the Jaguars are going to end up winning that division. It's just a feeling. But they played really well last night. They should have had another touchdown too. Trevor Lawrence was like, half an inch away from scoring another touchdown, in the first half. So that was the only play I saw, by the way, of the entire game was Trevor Lawrence fumbling on that goal line play.
Every year, without fail, there is a team that absolutely sucks the year before that catches fire in a season and they do good things. Jacksonville has to feel that they had a 4-win team last year. They already got 4 wins in 5 games this season, so maybe they're that team. We saw it with Washington the year before that. We saw it with Houston the year before that. So every year it happens. We did touch on Denver. If you were starting to get a little bit down on Denver, well, guess what? You better put them back in the mix. You go to Philly. You went on the road. That's you take your hats off to a team. It's not easy to go into Philly and beat them, and Denver did, and I thought they were pretty impressive in that game as well. So
yeah, they've got a really good defense. I still think Bo Nix isn't the guy, but Sean Payton's pretty good.
Let's. I'm going to end here by going Super Bowl favorites right now. So I'm just looking at this in real time. The Bills lost. You were like, well, where does that put them in terms of Super Bowl favorites? They're still the favorites. They're per ESPN Bet Sportsbook. The Bills are the favorite at plus 475. Then it's Detroit and Green Bay and Philly all at plus 700. Kansas City next at 800. The Ravens at 1,500. And the Rams at 1,600. That's a pretty big dip from 800 all the way down to 1,500. So sports books right now pretty much got 5 teams. They're saying that one of these 5 teams are going to win the Super Bowl. Buffalo, Detroit, Green Bay, Philly, Kansas City. Give me, on the fly here, one team that I didn't mention that you think could be up in that mix. Like who's a team to look out for that's not Buffalo, Detroit, Green Bay, Philly, or Kansas City?
It's the Ravens. It's going to be the Ravens until they're dead.
That's fair. Because if they're healthy, they're probably, I said in week 1, they have the best team on paper in the NFL, I thought. And I still feel that way. They're not on the field. They're on paper.
If they can make the playoffs from where they are right now, like anything can happen.
All right. Very fair. Let's get out of here. Big thank you, of course. Make sure you follow Matt on social media at Matt Rich Warren. That's Blue Sky. That's also Twitter X. Buffalo Rumblings, your one-stop shop for all Buffalo Bills things, and fun to be a part of on game days now with the thread that they got going on over there. As I let you out of here, just remind people during Bills game days what they could do if they go to Rumblings. I know there's like the ongoing live chat conversations going on.
Right. We always have like the open threads where the game threads where folks can chat in the comment section there. And then immediately after the game, we always encourage folks to go over to the feed and leave longer thoughts on whether it's like we always do a GIF reaction post over there as well that you can just leave like the one GIF reaction, but you can also always leave your notes in the feed with a longer feed post.
All right. Good stuff. Make sure you check that out. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to completely switch gears. Buffalo Sabres kick off their season Thursday night at home against the Rangers. A Sabres season preview and prediction show with Mike Harrington from the Buffalo News. Talk to you guys tomorrow.